Welcome to About You. I'm Connie Hogan. Well, my guest today truly could not be more impressive. As you might imagine, she gives a yeoman effort every day in support of animals, especially cats. When I first met Cheryl Phillips years ago when we were both on the board of Michigan Humane, this was many years ago and we were young and naive about animal control and animal welfare, I truly didn't realize the incredible, stellar career that she had had in her day job. And it was decidedly not a fluffy career. She was Director of Global Purchasing for Masco, and she also was on the foundation as Vice President of the Masco Foundation. And truly, the woman is a saint. I had to throw that in. She really is, and she's had so many awards. I don't know if we have time to get to them, but Cheryl, welcome. I've built you up, so you have to respond to that.
Connie, thank you so much. Saint, no, because it takes a village, right? But thank you.
That's true, but you, and I know you beat those people up when we're going to get to that, your new ventures. But let's start out with your careers with Masco.
Okay.
You were there in total for like 42 years.
42 years,
Tell us about that.
Well, I grew up on the west side of Detroit.
Okay.
And I started working for Masco when I was 5.
Right, as I did with General Motors too.
Right. And I started working in one of their plants in a division, and I was working on the assembly line.
Okay.
And I was going to school at night, went to Madonna University, got my undergrad there after 8 years of going to school at night, and then went on to get my MBA from Eastern through a Masco-sponsored program. So I worked in the plant for several years, and Connie, I was just in the right place at the right time, I think.
Yeah, we all were at certain times.
We were, and back then, women in purchasing
I was going to say
were an anomaly. It just didn't happen. But also back then, purchasing was not the revered field it is today either. So purchasing was buying paper clips and office supplies and things like that. So then we started getting into the heavy duty commodities. So from the plant, I went to the Research and Development Center, and I worked there for 2 years, and that was tough, walking into, again, all male, dominated, oriented.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Purchasing was not a field for women, and they're, who's this coming in here? So baptism by fire. So I stayed there for 2 years working on various automotive projects, learned a lot, and then they brought me over to the world headquarters as a senior buyer, and I was the first female director at the world headquarters.
Oh wow, that's That's very impressive.
Thank you.
Very impressive. And you were at the University of Michigan Dearborn as an adjunct professor. Are you still doing that?
Correct. No, I did that for 6 years.
Oh, for 6
I
years,
taught
okay.
operations management and strategic sourcing, and I loved it. I couldn't continue because of my travel schedule. I was traveling to China for 10
were
years.
you?
I
Okay.
traveled back and forth. So
Wow.
my travel schedule prohibited that.
Oh,
but I
yeah.
loved teaching there. I loved
bet
the
I
students.
can see you doing because you're so good at communicating and
Well,
that kind
thank
of
you.
stuff.
But
Yeah.
I just love my students. They were great. We had a lot of fun.
I bet you did. And very importantly, you have been very involved in professional organizations such as the Institute for Supply Management, et cetera. Talk a little about that. That's always interesting, but especially back in those days, like 20, 30 years ago, more than that.
Right.
Where I know I was involved with accounting organizations.
That's right. There were few women.
Right.
So again, we were paving the way, breaking those glass ceilings one after another. And it wasn't easy, but I think that we both had to have a lot of great mentors.
We did. Oh, yeah.
And wonderful
I did,
leaders. We
yeah.
wouldn't have been able to achieve the accomplishments that we did. But I worked with the National Association of Purchasing Management, it was called back then.
Right.
And then that evolved. And at Masco, we were very engaged with Eastern Michigan University and Michigan State University. So I got involved with Dr. Rao at Eastern and Dr. Melnick, and that's where we published a lot of articles based on what I did within Masco, what we were able to
wow.
achieve in the purchasing area,
Wow.
because we really broke a lot of new ground there.
That's incredible. So was this kind of part of you were a noted author and recognized expert in the field of supply chain management?
Yes, with Dr.
Wow.
Rao and Dr. Melnick.
That's incredible. That's such an important, now remind the audience, what Masco's products are, because I forget that.
Masco was once automotive.
That's what I thought.
They
Richard
started out,
Manoogian,
Alex
yeah.
Manoogian, they started out in the automotive business. But remember, Alex Manoogian, one of the first products was the single handle faucet, the Delta single handle faucet.
Yeah,
Remember?
gosh, yes.
And then they were big into automotive, and then they got into building and consumer products. So many of our brands we were the largest furniture manufacturer in the world at one time, with
Right.
Henredon, Drexel, Lexington, Universal. And then we became cabinet, Milgard windows. We had Marilock cabinets, craft-made cabinets.
Marilock,
So
yeah.
we were very big into the building industry. So we were a diversified corporation. We spun off the automotive group and we focused on building and consumer
Okay.
products.
Okay. I'd forgotten all that, but now I know, because Lowe's, I think, sells the Miralot. I think that's right, because I was looking at some of those. And
Yes,
they were built
yes.
by them. Okay, so switching over to philanthropy, which is how we knew each other with Michigan Humane, which is hard to believe it's 20 years ago. So you have been very involved in women's health care.
That was with the Oakwood Beaumont Wellcore now.
Corewell, yeah.
Corewell, I'm sorry, Corewell. I don't even know it yet.
I refuse to use it. I'm sorry, Beaumont people, but Beaumont is such a nice name.
I love
mean, for
Beaumont,
heaven's
I loved
sakes.
Oakwood, but sorry, Corewell.
Sorry, Corewell. We're not
And
gonna-
anyway,
like everybody, yeah.
In 2003, I became involved with Oakwood, and I was on the foundation committee, and then I got pulled in to being a chair for the Women's Healthcare Committee. So for 2 years, I chaired that, which was a huge golf outing. We raised hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I remember hearing about that.
That
yes.
benefited breast cancer, domestic violence, and women's heart. So I'm still engaged with Corewell. I'm on the advisory board in Dearborn, but it's a whole
Okay.
different organization.
It is
now.
totally.
Yeah,
And up here,
it's-
with Royal Oak, and it's just.
Yeah, it's.
I hope they know what they were doing, but no one around here is using the word Corewell. So just FYI.
And I can't use it anyway.
Exactly. Okay, so you're involved with Beckman Research in LA. We'll talk a little about that.
That was through the City of Hope with Masco. As you know, Masco was very philanthropic. Richard and his father were just amazing.
Oh, yeah.
We were able to do so much, and I learned so much from Masco and from Richard about philanthropy. That was an annual event that we held through, and it benefited the City of Hope. So that's how we got involved with that. And we did that for years until it came to a point where you could no longer have your vendors make donations.
Oh, okay.
That
All those
whole
little pesky
thing,
rules.
that whole thing happened.
So let's switch to our favorite subject. In 2014, you founded Gigi's Foundation.
Yes.
Tell us.
Yes. Gigi is a dog that I rescued in Detroit in 2009 while we were volunteering for Habitat for Humanity. Masco was very engaged in Habitat for Humanity as well. And at the time, I was engaged with Michigan Humane. So I called them. She was laying there in the gravel, called them and asked them to come get her. They came and got her. I went to the shelter. This was in Detroit. They took her, went to see her. They said that she was aggressive and unpredictable.
Was she a pit bull?
Yes, pit bull mix. She was not at all. Spayed her. She got peritonitis. I still don't know how that happened. Long story short, I couldn't get her out of there fast enough. We got her out of there. We were able to get her into a foster with Renee, who ended up being actually adopted her.
Oh, okay.
And she just had a wonderful life. But she was the best dog. I don't know if you remember, we took her to the Townsend for an event.
Oh, yes.
She was
I
there. She was
do.
one of the guest of honors there.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
And your book, From Lost to Loved,
Yes.
I love that.
Yes. So, and you have the book
I
now.
have the book,
So
thank
when
you.
you read
Yes,
it, let
I'm
me
going
know
to
what
read
you
it.
think.
I know I love it because I've read
Yeah.
and I've heard so much, which is more important. So you are also involved in the Pet Fund Alliance Best Friend to Cats.
Well, yes. There was an award I received. I had no idea. I was totally shocked. It was just such an honor. Their first award, and I got it for Best Friend to Cats.
Well,
so.
you are. I mean, I can't even
I
talk
try.
about your shelter out there, though. That's named after Gigi.
Right. Well, the sanctuary that we have,
Sanctuary in it, yeah.
the mission of Gigi's Foundation is to rescue, spay, neuter, vaccinate, provide medical care for community cats, and to educate the colony caretakers in our communities. The reason we have the community cats, they didn't fall from the sky, is
Right.
because someone abandoned them and
Right.
people are not spaying and neutering their pets. So through the foundation, since 2012, actually 2014, we have raised $136,000. We have helped 1,248 animals. 485 of those animals have gone in for adoption. The balance of those went back to their colony caretakers.
Okay.
And every donation that we get, every penny goes to the animals. Nothing
Right,
goes
right.
to me. And
Right.
I'm it. I'm the one out there doing all the
Right.
trapping.
Right. Well, and this, we could be here for the whole month talking about, and I won't call names, but some of these big organizations. And it's like with many, many things, they get too big in spite of themselves. You could say the banks in 2008 or whatever. But I think a lot of organizations in the charitable world lose track of what their mission is. And when you have a
Absolutely.
shelter that is empty and you're paying utilities for it, I'll just throw that out.
Well, you gotta wonder what's going on.
What the heck is going
And
on?
someone needs to do their due diligence.
Right.
And many of these shelters, Connie, and you know from our experience,
Right.
there are independent assessments that can be had in shelters. And why you would not welcome that with open arms.
Right. What are you hiding? Right.
Exactly. So I totally agree with you.
Right. And
Too
that's a
many
whole different
lose their mission,
conversation.
and we should have that conversation
Right.
because people need to be
Right.
aware of that
Right.
because they're
People need
giving
to
millions
know.
of dollars.
People need multi-millions of dollars.
That's right.
And I know, I wish I could just take your, like the little pictures I see on our Facebook with those beautiful cats, because when the cats go into your area there, they may
shelter.
come in with matted eyes, but in just a few weeks, they're these big fluffy cats that are gorgeous. And they have their little sunny little playgrounds there. They're- Oh
catios.
my God. I mean, I can't, like, I can't go out there
You-
because I
yeah.
would be coming back with my Tahoe full of cats. And,
Well,
and they don't allow that here in Bloomfield
Right.
Township,
But
so
you could have one or two.
I have two already,
Yeah.
and they would hate me too. That's the big thing. you
Right,
know.
right.
But they're so beautiful.
Thank you.
They're so beautiful. And your formula, though, that's the main thing. It's just, you know,
Love.
you love, and that they're volunteers at that little catio
There are volunteers. These 40 cats that we have, the gentleman that was hoarding these cats died in June of 2020. He left no provisions for 67 cats.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know it was
Many
that
of them
many, yeah.
community cats. So Lisa from Cattail Acres, she's got a wonderful sanctuary out there. Her and I got together and said we have to do something because they were going to euthanize all of these cats.
Oh my gosh.
They were at a farm 220 miles west of Detroit, round trip. Leonidas, I'm saying it wrong probably, Leonidas, Michigan.
Is it west
Leonidas,
of
Michigan,
here?
it's west,
Okay,
past
yeah.
Battle Creek.
Oh, okay.
So long story short, I had to go out there, find out what exactly was happening here. We said, okay, we need to build a sanctuary for these cats. We have to take care of them. What's going to happen to them? So it took us a year from that June until the next June to get a little barn built, to get everything set up. Then I started bringing the cats back. I made 12 trips to bring these cats back, 220-mile round trip,
Oh,
because
my
I could only get
goodness.
so many at a time. One time I went, I only caught one cat because they were in this barn. But the barn that they lived in, they slept on wood slats. They never had any beds. They never had any canned food. They never had any vet care, and they never went outside, never had
Oh
any
my goodness.
for 7 years.
Oh my God. That, to me, that kind of thing is almost, it'd be better to euthanize in a way.
It was
It's
terrible.
awful.
Now, as you can see
Oh
from
my
the
God,
videos,
yeah.
I come in there, they're all over
Ah,
my feet.
I
They're
see them. Oh
just,
my
they have personalities now.
And they're happy.
And 24 of the 40 cats have had dental care
That's
already.
funny. That's hilarious.
We've got 16
My
to
cat
go.
needs that,
Yeah.
Gracie.
So
Good luck with that, right?
thank you for asking. It's a labor of love.
Now
and
that's
I have-
Rose's place.
That's Rose's
Now
place.
what was Leo's Landing?
Leo's Landing was another shelter right next door to that, a small one that is now our storage unit.
Oh,
So we had 8 cats in Leo's Landing, and we moved them over into Rose's place.
well, tell me, what's the location of those? I don't
It-
even know that. So.
It Belleville. That's all I'll say.
Oh, that's where they are.
Yeah,
Belleville.
yeah.
Okay. I knew
And
it
the
was out
reason,
there
Connie,
somewhere.
because
I
if people-
understand.
yeah.
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Animalitarian of the Year finalist. That was through who? I forget.
That was through. I can't remember who that was.
I can't
through.
remember.
Yeah, I can't either.
That was. It wasn't the
It was
TV
through,
station.
no,
DPTV.
it was through an organization. And someone had nominated me. And so it's really what you do to promote humane education and promote the welfare of animals.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good word.
Mm-hmm.
So I know we talked, we'll just try to be, you and I, we'll be very objective about this.
Right.
You were in Michigan Humane from 2006 to 2011, and you were the executive committee. See, I wasn't on the executive committee when I was there, but I was on the board, but now I'm on the committee for the Bow Wow Brunch, whatever.
Right.
But so anyway, so you were there for 5 years. So talk about generally what, I know you were more involved with when Cal Morgan was there, your biggest achievements and the successes that came from it. See, back then we, Michigan Humane, did not have the Mackey Center in Detroit. They were still operating out of what is now the Detroit Animal Control.
Right.
There on Grand Boulevard, which was, and then they've got the Westland Shelter, which is bigger than most auto plants.
Correct.
Which is incredible. And
Correct.
both are, that's a Berman Center.
Yes, correct.
So when you were there, that was before those 2 shelters, right?
Madge, the Berman Center was
Madge,
there.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, the
Oh,
Berman
that's
Center.
right,
The
yeah.
Berman Center was there. I think one of the most significant things we started to do there. I remember we had a spay day there, and that was something that I had really
The spay day, okay.
pushed for. And also, they started giving the animals pain medication, which they hadn't been doing. Yes. And Dr. Amy is the one that came to me and said something to me about that. And I said, wait a minute, you need to give these animals pain medication after they've come out of surgery.
Oh
You
my
can't.
goodness.
So there were some pretty old school practices going on there. And I think we did make some inroads into that. And also really getting them used to the community cats, spay
Community
neuter.
cats, that's one.
I call them community cats.
I do too. My mother did that. yeah.
Yes, because feral has a bad
That's
connotation.
correct. Yeah.
And most of them are abandoned cats that have had to learn to fend for themselves.
It's just so sad. I know I have those at my place, and it's a difficult issue, but I've debated this just here in the last 6 months because you can't bring those cats in even if you wanted to because they go ballistic if they have walls around them because they're feral, whatever. But, around here, Bloomfield Township, we have so many foxes, and don't even get me started, but they're red foxes and whatever color foxes, but I'm just so afraid they're killing these cats.
And of course they are, because they are. The thing with the community cats is I've seen many of them just turn around in a very short period of time. If you bring them in, just like the animals at the shelter at Rose's place, I couldn't pet them for months.
But they
couldn't pet them.
change.
Now they've changed. Now I can
That's
pick them up, I can
amazing.
pet them. So if you initially bring them in your house, they might just want to run back out. They're frightened. But when they know they can trust you,
That's true.
and
That's true.
you show them love and you keep saying, come on in and have your food here, and then you bring the bowl a little closer and a little closer. It's amazing how many of my friends, people that I know have adopted, brought in community cats,
Right.
and they've turned
That's
into
true.
loving pets.
That's true.
So you just...
You got to be patient.
You got to be patient, and just patience, patience, patience.
That's right.
Which I don't
Love
have a
and
lot of,
patience,
but
yeah. Well, I do with the cats that I had.
with the animals, I have a lot of patience.
With Michigan Animal
Yeah.
Rescue League, which is a very good organization.
Yes.
Based here.
A
in,
dear friend of
Pontiac.
mine is very active with them.
Yes.
Yes.
And most of my cats came from there, and they had been, one of them to this day is still semi-feral.
Yes.
And I have just recently started to give her more love, giving her more love. But it's
Right.
like constant. She's gorgeous.
Yeah.
But when I go to her, she still runs away from me. I mean, it's just such a complicated issue.
I've had one like
After
that.
10 years.
Same with us. That was my sissy, same way. So I
Same
understand.
thing. So many other noted awards. Let's talk about this is a generic thing. The 2003 Distinguished Volunteer from the National Association or Society of Fundraising Executives.
That was through Beaumont, through Oakwood.
That was through
Corewell.
Oakwood.
Oakwood, Beaumont, Corewell.
So most of your, what I think of you, and I think most people who know you, think of you in the animal world.
Correct.
But you also did so much with the healthcare field.
Yes, for women in
For
healthcare.
women
yes.
in
And domestic
healthcare.
violence as well.
Domestic violence as well. So, and then the book that that was you that authored Gigi's
Correct.
Journey.
Yes, correct.
And can you tell us, I mean, how successful was it commercially?
Well, Gigi tells the story in her words, and which is a little
Always written in that way.
yes. And we had a book signing, and I did extremely well at the book signing. We were in Barnes and Noble.
Okay.
We've done Leon and Lulu several times, been invited back there. So that's been quite an honor when they have their author program there. And it's now on Kindle. So really, considering that I did my own marketing, probably pretty
That
good.
was incredible. It really
Pretty good.
was. Well, you know, animal care and the whole business of animal welfare is really changing.
Correct.
And I almost hesitate to talk about it because I'm not totally up to date, I guess, with what the thought processes are. I know that I hear things from certain groups around, let's just say generically, that there's a view that you would be similar to the old Reaganomics, Ronald Reaganomics, that if the rich get richer, then it's going to trickle down. And that's kind of what they're doing with trying to support humans, I guess, and saying, okay, well, if we give enough to people, then the cats will be better. See, I have a real fundamental issue with some of that, unless it's really audited and monitored, because you don't know where the monies are going, number one. And number two, there are so many organizations who do support humans, which is great, especially in certain underrepresented areas. There's United Way, there's tons of federal funding and state funding. So, you know, it's just new, kind of new theories and new strategies insofar as animals are taken care of.
I don't, excuse me, Connie, I don't understand it at all. I don't understand why you would think that giving people money would help the animals.
Right.
And I can tell you this from experience.
Yes.
When I have helped people in the inner city with animals, I remember one woman, one case specifically. She had 2 children. She was living in a home that had no water, no electricity. I saw the cat on the porch. I went back to the house, talked with her, got the cat out of there.
Oh, did you take the cat?
Yeah, and I was trying to help her get into housing. In fact, Southwest Housing Solutions was helping me with
Okay.
that. And it got pretty dicey. She needed money to go get birth certificates for the kids to get into the temporary housing. I couldn't go down to the city hall with her, so I gave her the money. We get there to get the temporary housing. I said, where's the birth certificates? Oh, I can't find them. Well, I know what happened with the money. Secondly, I paid her phone bill for a couple months, and when I stopped paying it, she was very irate with me, and I thought, how can you have such a high phone bill? My phone bill isn't that big a month, my cell phone.
Right.
Well, another woman that does philanthropy said, where's the father of these kids? I said, he's in prison. She said, that's why the phone bill is so high, because they're...
Oh.
So I learned, never give anyone money.
Well, it's just not a good idea. It's not a good idea for any subject, for any kind of thing. And, you know, and if you were going to do that, then why operate the shelters? It takes so much electricity and heat and air conditioning to run a big shelter that's the size of the Hamtramck plant.
Well, you don't know where the money's going.
You just don't know where the money's going. You can't
And-
audit it.
No, and if you have animals that you should be taking care of, if someone, we rescue community cats. That's what we do. But we help people that have community cats in their colony that may have already been spayed, neutered, vaccinated, but might be injured, might get attacked by something or develop an abscess or need something. So we help. I give the money directly to the vet. You take them to the vet.
That's a great
and I'll give the
idea.
money. I do not give people money anymore.
Ever.
You need food, I will get you food.
Right.
But we do not do it. So I don't understand the whole thought process behind this, what you just said.
And I don't know for sure anyone's even
doesn't make
doing
sense
that. I
to
just
me.
know what I've
Yeah.
assumed.
Allergies, yeah.
And I do know, right, that a lot of it is, like you say, giving the food. But even with the food, I'm getting into stuff here that is beyond my depth. But, you know, like I said, there's United Way, there's Gleaners, there's the
there's
Forgotten
food banks
Harvest
everywhere.
for human food, animal food, whatever. You know, it's just what I would like to see happen is more. And this is my thing, and I've said this over and over. Like when it's really cold outside or really hot, like it is today, it's 100 degrees here. Or with the heat index, it's probably more than 100. I mean, I worry about these animals, especially dogs. I worry more about dogs, believe it or not, because, you know, I picture them. They could be in a rural area. They could be in a city with some sort of alley, and they don't have any help. And they're not going to go and say, oh, I'm going to turn myself into the shelter. Who's looking out for those animals? See, this is the thing to me that's so frustrating.
Connie, your point is well taken. They have lost the focus of their mission.
Right, completely.
You're there, we are giving you money to help the animals, to go rescue the animals, to get them off the streets. You know the Netherlands has no stray animals.
Right. I love how the Scandinavian countries do stuff.
And their population is 17 million, Michigan is 10 million.
Right.
They had an extensive program that was funded by the government and other shelters, and they have no more stray animals, cats or dogs.
Well, you know, on human stuff, I'm not as big on Scandinavian socialism, but I am with their animals.
Yes.
And another country I love is Turkey, because they just keep all the animal food out like it would be like water fountains.
Well, in Istanbul, they take care of all the cats.
They take care of all of them.
The biggest thing that I would say is all of the shelters in Michigan, in the country, in the world,
Right.
need to focus on spay, neuter.
Right, that's your mission. I know the TVNR, whatever.
And until we focus on spay, neuter,
it's not
and
gonna get
humane
better.
education, teaching people compassion for all animals, because then that trickles down to humans
Right.
as well.
Okay, I see my little thing, and we could be talking about this forever and getting probably in areas where I shouldn't be. But
That's okay. Let's go, Connie.
But we are going to have to wrap it up, and it has been phenomenal hearing your whole story. Like I said, I didn't know all the non-fuzzy stuff about you, which is even more impressive.
Well, you wouldn't recognize me when I'm out there in my...
I would. Oh, I would. But thank you, Cheryl, and we wish you the best of luck and everything, and keep us posted. You have to come back and give us
Thank you, Connie.
updates. as time
Thank you,
goes on.
Connie. It was my pleasure and an honor to be here with you. Love you, and
Love you
just great
too.
to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks for watching today in this very exciting interview.